Great. So thank you for introduction. As Kyudo mentioned before, on our Discord channel, we discussed quite often recently about the new L2 project. And it's true that during our discussion several times, we mentioned Kroma Network as a new project, which is currently on the mainnet. So if I may ask you, if I would give you, let's say, 5 minutes, how you would introduce, how you would pitch a Kroma Network? If you mind, in a couple of words, describe what its general vision of your project and how this idea came up to create a new chain.
Kroma, I'll give you a little bit of background of who we are. Kroma is an Ethereum layer 2. We're combining Optimistic Rollup and zkEVM. As a layer 2 project, we aim to solve the blockchain dilemma, of course, and by creating a faster and cheaper network on the Ethereum ecosystem. We start with the game-centric focus because more people should be coming from the Web 2 world to Web 3 world, and the gaming will be the next bridge between those two. The reason why I built an L2 chain is to solve the scalability, like I said, on Ethereum.
Yeah.
And we believe, as many of the Ethereum builders, ZK, we start with Optimistic Rollup, but we're going to move on to ZK Rollup later on.
Sorry for 1 minute, but I need to interrupt you because I think sound is quite terrible now, and we can hear echo. It's not clear. It's not clear. It's far from clear.
The same from my side. Yes, the same from my
and from
side.
The audience too.
Mm-hmm.
Please, if you can do something to improve it, that would be nice because it's sometimes hard to understand what you are saying.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, and I think
better.
Now it's better.
Indeed.
Is it much better?
Yes, much better.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. It's better to use each one's microphone than shared microphone.
Indeed. Okay, so maybe we could restart. So you started introducing your project, Kroma Network, as a new L2 and your vision. And I think you mentioned about the importance of the gaming. So if you could kindly continue your pitch, would be great.
Kroma is an Ethereum layer 2, combining Optimistic Rollup and zkEVM. As a layer 2 project, we aim to solve the blockchain dilemma by creating a faster and cheaper network on the Ethereum ecosystem. And we start with the gaming-centric focus because we believe that more people should be coming to the Web 2 or from Web 3 world to from Web 2 world to Web 3 world, and the gaming will be the next bridge between those two. As mentioned, the reason why we're building L2 is to solve the scalability problem that Ethereum has. And we believe, as many Ethereum builders, ZK will lead the next generation of scalability. However, from our research and tests, we concluded that implementing the current ZK technology onto the Kroma will lead to high cost within the network. That's why we strive to make the practical ZK solution to prevent Kroma's networks from becoming expensive network to use. And that is why we started with the Optimistic Rollup. Of course, we still work tirelessly to implement ZK into our chain. And one of the first steps to do so is to have ZK fault-proof mechanism in our chain. By doing so, we make a transition from Optimistic Rollup to ZK Rollups smoothly. And apps and users will have nothing to do. Will have to do nothing for the transition. They will also enjoy the benefit of ZK technology just for deploying on the Kroma network. And currently, Kroma team is only one to run the sequencer node, and there will be 8 validators to participate in the near future. And the new roadmap has been just posted to our website, so please come visit Kroma.network.
Great. And if I may, because it's very curious, you mentioned about the current state of development of ZK infrastructure. So from your perspective, you said that we are still at a very early stage, isn't it? That ZK technology is definitely the future, but at the current stage, it's still burdensome to implement new projects using this technology. Is it correct?
That is correct. It costs a lot to create a ZK proof, and our team, our mission, our goal is to make the practical products for users to use. And expensive network, because ZK technology is we still believe that ZK technology is the future, but we still have to a lot to work on to make sure that the price goes down and the proof generation itself costs less time. And we're working on it.
Okay.
So maybe we will do something like that. First, one question will go from Mateusz. It's gonna be a little bit more about the project, and the second one is gonna be from me because I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna talk about the question that the audience asked that we prepared before that. So the question is. We have for now like 30 different L2s, and probably there's gonna be more, even maybe like 10, 20, maybe more. So how do you wanna compete with those L2, and why users, why TVL should come to your L2?
That's a great question. We understand there's a platform war is going on in L2 and L1 spaces. And like other platform wars that happen in Web2 industries, it is now time for the content war. It's a matter of which platform has the better content. And I'm sure I'll given the chance to explain the relationship between the Remade and us. And Remade and their games are the key to our success. One of the recent titles Remade has released is called Nightcrows this year. It was released this year, and it is MMORPG game, and it's the only service in Korea. It has a 150K concurrent users playing the game currently, and it's earning $1 million per day. And Nightcrow's Web3 version and the international version will be coming out soon, and it will be onboarded to Kroma as well. Starting with Nightcrows, bringing such a previously successful games to the Web2 audience to the Web3 world, especially to Kroma. Kroma would bring many users and much attention from the start, and we'll leverage that our relationship and the experience getting Web2 games onto the Web3 world to expand the Kroma ecosystem. So what I believe is that after the platform war, during the platform war, it's a matter of the contents now, and we're teaming up with Remade, which is one of the great game builders in Korea. And their games, if they're onboarded to Kroma, we're going to start. We're going to have a great initial push from the start, and that could make our network outstanding compared to others.
Great, and I think you mentioned the WeMade and WeMix, and this would be our next question. As a lawyer, I started to digging into your structure just to understand your internal structure. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that Kroma Network is currently being created by LateScale, which itself is a subsidiary of WeMade, yes? And
correct.
As far as we know, WeMade is as well behind the WeMix Foundation projects and actively supports the development of WeMix community.
That's correct.
So we are very curious just to understand what are the relationship between these all entities. Do you share the teams, or Kroma Network being created by LateScale has a dedicated team of developers working on the project, or you work together concomitantly with guys from the WeMix Foundation?
I'll give you a brief background of the structure, and I'll give you the relationship between the LateScale and the WeMade later on. Our legal entity is called LateScale, like you mentioned. LateScale is a subsidiary of WeMade, and WeMade is a Korean game company listed in Korean Stock Exchange. Their stock is valued at about $1 billion US. They're also the creator of Remix Community and the Remix Token and Foundations. And Remix Token is valued at $1 billion US, also a fully diluted value. Remix has focused on blockchain games and the infrastructure for at least 4 to 5 years. We have strong ties with Remade and are communicating daily to brainstorm and sync up and build together. Remade recently released its plan to connect Remix to Kroma through its Unagi initiatives.
Yes.
Remade sees we are actually the separate team with a separate office, and Lightscale itself is only focused on Kroma and nothing else. So we're building Kroma by ourselves, and we're connecting to the Remix later on. And to give you a little bit more lights on the Remade itself, Remade sees the blockchain link gamer to the world outside of Korea and expand their game ecosystem horizon. Also, they believe that the time and the effort that the gamer have put in are valuable, and the fate of the gaming characters actually should not be only determined by the gaming company. They belong to the gamers themselves, and blockchain technology is a great way to decentralize the authority on gamers. And that is why Remade is determined to build blockchain games, and they're focused on the Web2 world.
Great.
Sure, that's really interesting. So the next question from the community: will we see some blue chips deployment on your L2, something like Uniswap or Curve, or maybe different really good apps?
Are you asking when?
If or when. You can say when too, but if there's gonna be those apps too on your chain.
Of course, we are just starting our ecosystem expansion. We would love to get in chat with all the blue chip D apps out there. And if you guys have contacts, please let us know. I'll start talking to them if so. And of course, there's going to be a lot of work to be done beforehand. But if so, we are super eager to build anything that's required to have those blue chip apps onboarded to Kroma.
Because basically you plan to start initially as a game-centric chain, okay? But I read your article, so in your agenda there is as well expand to include DeFi and NFTs projects. Have you already been in contact with some projects? Do you see any interest on the market? Whether they would be willing to launch their projects applications on your chain, or it's still you're at the very early stage, so this kind of discussion haven't started yet?
We just started reaching out to all the DApps in the world.
Yes.
We do start with the game-centric focus, but our network itself is built to have all the different kinds of DApps to be onboarded to Kroma. So we are willing and we are eager to talk to all the DApps that are interested in Kroma Network. They're interested in a way that we have Remade as our backer. And as soon as the triple game, the Night Crows, release their Web3 versions onto Kroma, it's going to have a lot of users from the start. And of course, all the blue chip DApps are looking for more liquidity and more users to be using their DApps. So we could definitely be more attractive to them as well.
There are any grants which you might consider to grant to the project in order to incentivize them to build on your chain?
Yes, we do have our grant program. We are talking to some of the DApps who would like to receive grants. And it really depends on how much they can put in order to grow together. Details about the grant program will be released sooner or later. And they will be also on our website, Kroma.network. So please come find it later on.
Great.
All right. So maybe let's go and talk a little bit more about the project. So Mateusz, can you follow our next questions?
Yes. So just I think this was at the beginning. You explained to us the reason why you launched as an optimistic rollup, but you wish to transit towards the ZK Rollup. We know all that it's very difficult in the blockchain to have really detailed, with very detailed timeline of the roadmap, because there are a lot of moving parts and it's almost impossible just to predict the future. If we are very curious just to learn what are your next big milestones, objectives, but the next few months.
Our CTO DJ is here. He's going to answer more questions about this.
Yes, actually, I agree that the transitioning from the Optimism Rollup to the ZK Rollup is very hard, and that's why we designed our data structure, and we already have zkEVM for ZK fault proof. So currently, we think that we need to modify our client, and the most important thing is that construct another laptop that communicate with the provers. And currently, we are designing other types of proving network that currently does not exist elsewhere. So we are going to adopt the holding scheme, and the it's different from we are based on the Scores zkEVM. Their scheme is basically aggregation, ZK proof aggregation scheme, but the folding scheme is different from the Scores aggregation method. So we need to design fully unique and original for moving to the ZK Rollup. So at this time, we are developing the kind of folding scheme, libraries, and algorithms first, and then we are going to design the kind of different prover network that do some kind of folding work, and then finally some work just one huge proof. It's not that huge, but it's just single proof for 1,800 blocks. So we are going to add that proof to the checkpoint. Then I think we just can move to the ZK Rollup. So it does not need to be changed to some rollup node or execution engine. We just can focus on improving the provers. So that's our strategy for transitioning to the ZK Rollup.
Understood. Great. As well, if I may ask, I read about the participants on your chain being proposers and validators.
Yes.
In just a few sentences, would you mind to summarize what are their respective duties, role within the system, and what are the conditions as well to become one of the proposers or validators in the future?
Yeah, recently we corrected the terms because we think that our new terms are more correct for defining the participants, but usually the terms is a little different from the current use in the Optimism or the ARBITRUM. So actually in the layer one, there are validator networks, and one of the validator can be chosen as a proposer that propose block. So the block composed of the transaction, and block header contains the transaction hash and also the state hash. So, but in the layer two, in our network, it's separated. So just batcher, I mean the sequencer just sequencing the transaction, and it compress all the transactions as some kind of batch and sequence only that batch to the block. And the validator download all the transactions, and it constructed the L2 blocks and the chain, and it can have their own state, and the state loops can be uploaded within the L2 output. So currently, most of the other layer 2 networks hold the kind of output proposal as a proposal. But in this term, in our spec, we use the proposal who honor the batch. So we recently determined to change the kind of definition. So we currently call batcher as a sequencer. So previously called proposer, and validator who proposed the output as a proposer. So we have that kind of changes first. So while I explaining this kind of changes, I already explained what is the role of the kind of participants. And the unique parts, I think that currently the Kroma is the only layer 2 that have permissionless validator. So while designing this kind of permissionless validator, we defined that kind of roles. And in the layer 2, validation is a little different from the layer 1. So one of the validator proposes the L2 output, and the others can check the validity of the kind of L2 output. And if it's invalid, then others can submit the dispute challenging the whole validation method. So that's why it's different from the layer 1. And yes. So there are two types of participants. The one called sequencer submit transaction batch, and the others is a validator. And one of the validator propose the L2 output, and the other validators can check the validity of the output. Yeah, simply speaking, that's all.
Understood. And thank you very much for explaining us all these technicalities. I think it's always easier for us, at least for the non-IT guys, just to understand the underlyings, how the network works from your end.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I would like as well just to revert to your previous point about the importance of gaming for a WeMade. I've been recently a few months in Asia, and I learned about how important industry is in the Asian countries. But I think on our group, we discussed several times whether it makes sense to implement gaming on the blockchain. And several times we discussed what would be the rationale of companies being currently recognized as a WeMade in a traditional gaming world to implement games on a blockchain. Earlier you mentioned that WeMade sees the future. WeMade considers that blockchain is the place where we should implement our games. But for example, could you please tell us, you have more experience in gaming, where we are currently with gaming on the blockchain, and where we can be in the future? Because basically right now we have few games, but technically speaking, we cannot compare them to the traditional games which are on the PlayStation or on other platforms.
Yes, it's going to be a little bit more of a personal view on the gamings on blockchain, I believe. Correct. And till today, I think most of the games on the blockchain industry has been more of a rather simple games. Rather, it's very difficult to compare to the games that that's been popular and that's been played by so many people in the Web2 world. The blockchain games itself receive a lot of attention because it's blockchain, not because it's fun to play. And that's one of the reasons why many of the blockchain games didn't receive much attention than expected. But we made as a different approach. They've been making games for more than 25 years. So they've been a successful company. Like I mentioned, they're listed on the Korean Stock Exchange. They're still making Web2 games, and they have all this experience to making those games. They understand the game itself has to be really fun to play for the users, and for that is the essential part of a blockchain game to start with. And like I mentioned, they are serious about the blockchain technology and industry in a way that it's a great way to connect to the outside world of Korea because many of the games the blockchain itself connects everyone in the everywhere, and many of the remade games are only serviced in Korea, but through blockchain, it can be serviced to and can be reached to the people outside Korea. And also, like I mentioned, they believe that the time and the effort of the games that the gamers has put in are valuable, and the fate of the gaming character should not be determined by the gaming company itself. And many of the assets that gamers have built within the game should belong to the authority of the asset should be belong to the gamers themselves, and blockchain technology can make it happen. And we made is truly believe the decentralization of those assets to the gamers, and that's their belief, and we believe that too.
And being based in Asia and talking with the other gaming centers, have you seen this trend that more and more gaming studios they are looking for a Web3 as a future for the gaming industry?
That is very correct. Most of all the big game, studios in Korea have their Web3 arms, trying to build the blockchain games. I think almost all of them, but who actually are listed on the Korean Stock Exchange are doing so. So not only us, but all the gaming studios within the Asian culture are doing the same thing because, like I mentioned, it's now is the time for the globalization of the games, and blockchain itself could be the bridge between all of them.
Great, thanks.
All right, maybe now let's ask a question about your token, Crow. And the question is, why do you even need the token?
Oh, token. Token will be there's many reasons why we need token. Number one is it we later on, of course, will be used as a gas within our ecosystem. It also works as a governance token. We have a plan to decentralize Chroma itself, going to the DAO formation. And in order to do so, we need to have tokens. And the third thing is to have enough resources to build our ecosystem through the tokens.
All right, but you are saying that you want to decentralize. So what type of governance do you want to implement? Are like community will decide about everything, or there's how do you see it?
We're still working on the exact formation of a DAO, but we are definitely sure that we are going to do some sort of DAO formation later on.
All right, so this is on your road, but yes, that's okay. Can you explain about the allocation of the tokenomics, where, for example, WMX community is getting allocated 10% of the tokens, but Chroma community will get just 7%?
Okay, I'll give you a little bit of background of tokenomics. Investors receive 15% of the whole tokens, and the Remix Foundation received 15% of the tokens, and the core team receives 15%. Remix community received 10%, and the community airdrops will be 7%, and ecosystem fund will be 38%. The 15% that the Remix Foundation received comes from the initial investment that the Remix Foundation has put down to build Kroma Network with Lightscale. And 10% of the Remix community is to have the initial users to build ecosystem together in Kroma Network. For your information, the Kroma community has 9 million plus wallets within their ecosystem. And we believe that it's going to give us a great, tremendous initial push for the user acquisition side. The next question was why there are 10% for the Remix community and the 7% for the community airdrops. If you divide the 30%, 38% of the ecosystem fund, some of the fund will be also, it's up to decisions, depends on market situation and everything, and where we stand about the ecosystem development. Most of the fund will be used to build ecosystem, and of course there could be involved in that could also involve the airdrops through the DFs, not through us. So the 7% will be much larger. If we think of the part of the ecosystem fund will be also the airdrop for the community. So the outside it looks like it's smaller, but if you take account the ecosystem fund, which is 38%, it's much bigger.
All right. Do you have maybe more details about the vesting schedule for?
Oh yeah. About the vesting schedule, we'll release the further economics details later. Of course, that details will also include more details about the ecosystem fund of the 38%. So please stay tuned. It's going to be released in the Medium, and it can be accessed through the Kroma.network, of course.
All right.
Great. And if I may ask as one question regarding your token, you mentioned that the Kroma's primary concept, it revolves around aligning network growth with the value of its native token, which is KRO. How would you mind to achieve this goal? To keep the value of token itself, which would align to the growth of the network?
Okay, before anything, I want to talk about the tokenomics in more detail. At KRO, the native token of Kroma is minted with every blocks, which is created every 2 seconds. And it results in 48,200 KROs minted and blocks generated daily. And this means there will not be pre-minted amount of tokens for anyone. And we call this a zero-star tokenomics.
Yes.
And each minted KRO will be divided and distributed to core network contributors as tokenomics are intended. And the contributors include users, investors, and the Kroma team, ecosystem builders, and etc. Kroma tokenomics is built to align with the Kroma's network growth in 2 ways. Number one, it has a dynamic KRO issuance structure. The growth of the network is directly tied to the KRO supply, with mechanism to adjust KRO issuance based on the network activities, and more specifically, the amount of gas used within the block. More transactions and more gas spent on the block mean more KRO tokens to be minted, and the opposite for the low network activities, which controls the inflation, of course. And we also have a transaction incentives. Users and DFs that incur transaction will receive KRO tokens. And more transactions on the block means more reward to receive. And details about how much each DFs and user would receive will be released later. You can find on also through the Medium. And those two aspects of the Kroma tokenomics will align the growth of the Kroma network to the ecosystem.
Great. So to sum up, basically, the inflation of token would depend mostly on the activity on the chain. The more activity is on the chain, the more tokens will be released with each block. But once the activity is getting lower, less tokens will be created with each block.
Yeah, that's number one. And number two is, like I said, if more users put more transactions on the block, they'll receive more crows as a reward. So if were to use put more transactions, which means to have more gas fees paid to the network itself, which means the ecosystem growth, they'll receive more tokens. So it's interconnected.
Gotcha.
All right. Do you plan to release token this year?
No, we are aiming for sometime mid next year.
Okay, so we still get time to use your network, and I know that this is gonna be a question that project don't want to talk about, but community is very excited about it, and there is 7% for the airdrop, and we are just curious if do you have a specific like condition to get this airdrop? Maybe you can share a little bit of alpha or talk about the fact that maybe testnet also will be considered for the airdrop, something like that. Can you share something?
We are very cautious about the details of the airdrops. It will be much better if we come up with the specifics later on and to be shared with everyone at once. And it will be nice if you guys know beforehand, but I don't think it's fair for everyone. So I'd rather not mention more about the airdrop itself. But I would definitely appreciate your attentions and curiosity towards our project and airdrops. Please stay tuned.
We will be, definitely, we will be.
Sure, that sounds fair. So I want to ask for a question from the community. So when we go to the bridge on your website, we see a couple of tokens that are there. There is like Uni, BNB, and also Ethereum. So why you chose those tokens at first to bridge to your ecosystem?
Yeah, actually, we thought that these are will be used for the dev that onboarded at the initial stage. So that's why we select those tokens in our bridge as the initial tokens.
All right.
But actually, everyone can select their tokens to be bridged in the Kroma, and so these are just initial tokens that we just added in our bridge. So it's not that much important. And if there are any requests to add more tokens, then yeah, we can add. It's not it's not fixed. We can add more.
Okay. Can you tell us how many people is in your team?
We're a team of 40 people, and 70% of the team is either developers or PMs and designers. We're building the team, and 30% is the business, marketing, and operation.
Okay.
Okay, and on the marketing side, I learned exchanging emails with you that you were extremely busy over the last weeks. For example, you attended conferences in Singapore, in South Korea. What are your plans to increase your visibility on the European and as well on the American market?
That's a good question. There's a reason why we're doing this AMA with you guys. You guys are super interested in Kroma, and I understand you guys are based in Poland. And this is one way for us to reach out to the community outside of Korea and reach the outside in Poland, of course. And we are also going away everywhere. We plan to visit DevConnect, which is going to be on November, and 6 of us will go. We will be speaking at different events um, to let others know where we exist, and we will be there to prosper. and we'll be everywhere from now on. We were at Token 2049 in Singapore. Beforehand, of course, there was the Korean Blockchain Week, and before then, we were at Paris for ETHCC, and before that was we were in Montenegro to meet the Ethereum partners at ETHCON. So we'll be out there reaching other people's reaching the communities, of course, through the web or through the offline kind of conventions and everything. So that's one of the plans that we have in our minds. And on top of that, as soon as we get sort things out within our network, and if we were to receive a lot of attentions within our network itself. We would like to set up branches outside of in different countries to make sure that we reach the communities deeply. And the Poland could be the next one. It really depends on how many people are interested in our products and how many users use the network itself. So it really depends on that.
Great, and you definitely need to go to Poland. As you see, there is 10:40 a.m. in Poland, and we are really like a strong group of Degans, which really appreciate to learn about new projects. And I think in Poland, Kyudo can confirm there are several as well conferences where investors and the user can speak directly with projects.
Sure, and
but great to hear that you have
strong. Gaming community is strong.
Yes, I've heard many things about Poland. You guys have a great developer community. I heard that there are a lot of developers who are interested in blockchain itself. When we went to different conferences, we met with Polish developers who are either looking for jobs or they're willing to build on Kroma, and they're super eager. So we definitely see the Poland as could be one of the next our target countries for us to work with. And definitely, there's a reason why we're doing this AMA with you guys. And I understand it could be the initial bridge between us and the Polish community.
Sure.
Amazing, thanks.
I want to ask you about the fact that you've got quite a lot of people in your team, so it's like 40 people you said, and I am checking your tokenomics. There is investor rounds for sure. There was investor round. Can you tell us how much did you collect from the seed and private investors, and what is your runway for now?
We rather not disclose anything, any information about the investment itself. We only disclose those information to the investors that we talk to privately. So yeah, we'll leave it up to that.
All right, sounds fair. Sounds fair for sure. Mateusz, do you have some question? Other?
There are no other questions on my list. Do we have other questions from the community?
Yes. Just give me a moment, and
sure.
I will get them. What is?
And maybe just to. Sorry.
Okay,
go ahead.
The question is, what is the most interesting application game that is coming to your chain, and why?
The Night Pro, which is the remakes game, will be the most interesting. It's like I said, it's earning $1 million per day and has 150K concurrent users playing it every day. I'm playing it every day, so it's a pretty cool game, and I think it'll be one of the first move of a AAA titles to be onboarded. So it's gonna bring new lights into the Web3 gaming industry itself. So that would be the next and the most hopeful and big step for us and for everyone in the Web3 gaming world.
And how would you like to convince the current users, current players, to switch to the blockchain? There will be any rewards for them to decide to let's say, move their profiles to the blockchain?
Some of the items and some of the currency they're using within the game will be on blockchain right away. And of course, we're going to work. And I personally believe that there's a pretty big entrance barriers for new Web2 users to be onboarded to Web3. And web gaming itself could make the barrier much lower by asking them. We don't have to ask them to create a wallet or anything like that. If they were to join the game with the Google ID they have, they get to have their wallet right away. And things like that would definitely make it easier for the users participating in the Web3 world. And to incentivize them, of course, we have the Crow token that will release later on. And many of the remixes tokens will be also rewarded for the users to participate in the Web3 world. And I mentioned many of the items and the currency itself will be Web3 either tokens and NFTs. So as soon as they join the game, they would not even realize they're on Web3 or not. Still, they'll be putting out transactions on blockchain by just playing the game.
Yeah, indeed. I think the issue how you would onboard new users, it's the key, because I guess set up new wallet, recall private keys, it's quite burdensome for users.
Yes, that's why we are super focused on the account extractions, and in order to make sure that it's making much easier and much user friendly for the users to be using the Web3 product.
All right, and I had one last question from the community. Just sorry, I'm reading everything that they wrote here and trying to pick the right one. So, why do you chose OP stacked instead of, for example, Arbitrum, Orbit, or some other way to go to the market?
Yeah, I'm DJ. Arbitrum is open source, but the license is not. So we need to pay to use the Arbitrum software, and OpenStack is fully open source and free for use. So that's one of the reasons why we choose OpenStack. And actually, I think that OpenStack modular design is better, and it's very flexible to other types of changes or modules, something. So that's the reason why we could add our own design to the OpenStack. So that's the main reason. And there are all code bases and all the stuffs are very good. Yeah, and also we determined to start with optimistic rollup, and we think that the OpenStack design, like the batch and derivation, is much better than others. And recently we studied it and we investigated all other types of solutions that support universal purpose. And currently, the OpenStack batching and the derivation show the best performance in the aspect of the fee and the max TPS. I mean the throughput. Yeah, that's the reason why I chose started with the OpenStack.
All right, that sounds reasonable. So I think that's all from me. Mateusz, do you have any question?
No further questions from my side.
Okay, so maybe at the end, maybe there is something that you want to talk about and we didn't ask about, something that you want to highlight at the end?
I think what you guys asked mostly covered what I wanted to say. I just wanted to thank for all the 81 audience that are participating in this call, and also two of you guys who are moderating this event. We'll be more than happy to come back and do more AMA as time goes by. Please call us whenever you guys have free time. If you have further questions, we're more than happy to answer any of the questions you have. And thanks for having us.
Yes, that's amazing. For sure, we will
Thank you a lot.
talk with you in the future when your chain will develop a little bit more. And now, thank you very much. Have a great evening. Yeah, this is evening for you. For us, it's just the start of the day. So have a great evening and see you soon, I think.
Yeah, speak to you soon. Thank you.
If any of you guys be at the Dev Connect in Istanbul in November, please let us know. We can definitely meet up and have a coffee or anything. So, or if you have further questions, let us know. You can definitely visit our website, Kroma.network, or you can join our Discord or follow our Twitter. Yeah, please do so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.